And thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, special carnival edition for the big night ahead of us tomorrow night at Albion Park. The Constellations continues at Albion Park, and we've got two Group 1 features, the Great Square and the Rising Sun. Unfortunately, news has broken that the Kiwi star Bet and Win is out of the Great Square, so it certainly takes plenty away from that race. But still, all in all, it's a fantastic night in front of us. 10 races, we start at 5 o'clock, and there's a lot to look forward to. The best pacer in the country is here again tomorrow night, Leap to Fame, up against his older brother Swayze. They lock horns in the Mr. Feelgood. This is the third time they have met under race conditions, and as we know, the score is 1 apiece. So there's a lot to look forward to. The boys are back with me, Ryan Spice and Darren Clayton. Ryan, firstly, what's the highlight event for you tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Mr. Feelgood and the return clash of the brothers. Round 3, let's see who comes out on top.
Okay, Darren, disappointing news with Bet and Win coming out. A hoof abscess, so that forces his withdrawal, so it certainly takes plenty away from that race, but still, it's going to be very competitive, and the support program is magnificent.
Yeah, it'll still be a great race. We've got the defending champion London to a brick looking to go back-to-back, win the first 2 editions, and that'll be a great contest. I'm looking forward to the Oaks as well. That should be a really good one. Some really nice fillies to do battle there and how that profiles into the carnival.
We will speak to 2 of our leading drivers. Nathan Dawson, who's the reigning Australian Driver of the Year. Naturally, he's got some really good chances, so keen to get his thoughts on tomorrow night. And Brendan Barnes with 2 drives, including this very exciting 2-year-old Pat's Boys, who goes around in that APG final, which is race number 9. So they'll join us throughout the program as well. But we've got plenty of form to get through. This is Weekend Winners. The first of our features on Saturday night is the Burwood Stud Southeast Derby. This is for the 3-year-old colts and geldings. All important lead up for the Queensland Derby in 2 weeks' time. Just looking back at last year, On Deadline was able to score in this race, beating Naturally Gifted. The Queensland Derby winner didn't start in this race last year. Of course, the Lost Storm bolted away with the Queensland Derby, but he bypassed this race. So, does the Queensland Derby winner come out of the Southeast Derby? Time will certainly tell. Ryan, as I come to you, your overview here, Major Hot's going to be one of the major players. We'll look back at his replay now. He's been really good so far in both of his runs. He's now featured in a stable change, going from Nathan Purdon. He's now under the care of David and Stacey White. This is his performance in the Redcliffe Derby. He's got a nice trailing draw here. Obviously, he's going to rate very highly.
Oh, absolutely. He's a very sharp sit sprinting type. Changed stables to a great New Zealand trainer. And if he gets the right run, he certainly will be very, very hard to beat.
Do you think we're looking at potentially a Queensland Derby winner from this lineup?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
There's some very, very talented horses in here. Strong Queensland and New South Wales representation. Yeah, I can see the Queensland Derby winner coming from this field.
Okay. That Redcliffe Derby was taken out by Ellis Street. He's a notable omission. He's likely to back up next week in the Hayden, so we don't see Ellis Street. And just sectionally out of that Redcliffe Derby, the last mile, best of the runners there was checking out the talent just in front of Major Hot. So if you're looking at sectionals, they're the 2 out of the Redcliffe Derby that recorded super split. So, Darren, put this race together for us. How did you map it early? Because it looks quite tricky.
Yeah, it certainly does. And nutting it all out, I thought the safer would be the early lead. I thought he would get first to the fence over In Excess. I think they'd be quite happy to take a trail. What happens thereafter, how it plays out? I thought Ironclad, I thought he was really good first up, just didn't quite go to plan. He's a very talented horse, this guy. Minos, he probably holds a bit of the key. If he goes forward and tries to get the front or sits back and comes with 1 run, he'll be looking for a trail. So I guess that Robbie Morris would probably want to be up on the front end, but I thought if Ironclad got to the chair first, well then that might just force Minos back. Outside of that, I think they're then sort of just jostling for positions, and then the 3-wide train, probably coming Shard's Matrix, the Janitor, he's a sit sprinter, and Delhi Rowe.
Okay, Ryan, do you tend to agree with that sort of speed map there? And the key runners here off the second row, the Janitor, who's first up, but looked really sharp in a trial, and Shard's Matrix. He's gone back-to-back in New Zealand with victories. He trialled, he was just behind the place getters in the trial, but they went fast time. it's not an easy race to sort out, is it?
No, absolutely not. If we knew how they were going to settle at the bell, I think we'd all be more confident from a wagering point of view. But I certainly think, I don't think Minos can go back. He's a natural go-forward type. We saw Robbie be aggressive in the Redcliffe Derby. And if he was able to bully to the top, he probably then becomes the horse to beat.
Yeah. Safer to, important to point out, Adam Regari was training. He's now under the care of Jason Grimson. So he could be a big improver. I thought the run in the Redcliffe Derby was more than okay. Bridge probably had the wrong draw there and the wrong trip. So on the bigger track, he could be a big improver.
Yeah, certainly, especially if he can find the fence.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, though, I think the Janitor, he's the one I've got a real soft spot for. He reminds me of a bit of a wayward sort of black dance type. Remember how, so in his 2 and 3 year old years, so much, do so many things wrong, but he just has a massive engine and he profiles like that for me.
Okay, so you're going to tip him on top, the Janitor. Darren, you're going with Major Hot like myself?
Yeah, I just think if he gets that perfect trip, sort of 1 out, 1 back, 1 out, 2 back, like Ryan suggested, he's got a real turn of foot. He's a good sit sprinter, and I think he'll be better suited on the bigger track coming wide. It just took a little bit too long to wind up in that Redcliffe Derby.
Yeah, I think Major Hot's the safe option here. He's got a nice trailing draw directly behind Safer. And as long as there's going to be a genuine tempo, and I think that's almost guaranteed, he's going to be hard to hold out at the end. So 9, 2, 11, 7 for me. We're basically coming up with the same sort of numbers, so I think we're hopefully close to the mark there. That is the Southeast Derby for Burwood Stud. That comes up as race number 3. Race number 4 on Saturday night, the Burwood Stud Southeast Oaks. This race last year won by Jewel Melody. The Queensland Oaks winner from last year went around in this race last year. She was unplaced, finishing towards the rear of the field, Talk Like Motion. Then she pulled off that big upset in the Queensland Oaks. Ryan, as I come to you, we'll look at the replay of Everard taking out the Redcliffe Oaks. But when you're looking at this race and you're looking further ahead of the Queensland Oaks, where looking at No Luck's a Turner, she goes around in the Rising Sun. Millwood Bliss goes around in the Rising Sun Constellation. There's every chance that Emma Stewart, Clayton Tong can bring up one of their star fillies. So the Queensland Oaks, compared to the Southeast Oaks, could be vastly different.
Yeah, I think it will be a lot stronger, the Queensland Oaks. For me, in this race, despite Barrier 7, RDB Mickey, the Redcliffe run was sensational. I think in some ways it's all eyes on her, see where she maps. If she can push on to the top, I think Pete and Chantel have got a very strong hand. Otherwise, it looks like an even race.
Yeah, Everard was very good, winning the Redcliffe Oaks. Barrier 1, kicked through to lead. Took them all the way, race record time. Sectionally, though, the two best out of that race for the last mile, RDB Mickey, sub 54, and then Riley Rainbow, the stablemate, 54 for last mile. So RDB Mickey, first time at Albion Park, back on the bigger track. She's got to overcome gate 7. Is she the horse they've got to beat?
She's certainly up there, and if she does get to the front, like Ryan suggested, and I think she does, well then that puts her right in the driver's seat, so to speak, to win this race. I do think that she'll force the issue. I think Look Like Diamonds can probably get across Majorita Jujon. If you go back to Majorita Jujon in that Queensland Sun, she held up right the way through to the first turn. So if Grant Dixon wants to hold up again there, he certainly gets the opportunity to, that's for sure. So it depends how far, whether he is content to try to get leaders back of RDB Mickey. I thought he probably just gets crossed early, so that would put RDB Mickey in front, probably looking at She's Full of Spirit rolling forward and having to roll the sleeves. They fill their positions thereafter. I thought Love Reshes was good in the Redcliffe Oaks as well, darting through on the inside. Everard, she just needs to get the right tempo at the right time, and I think she can sort of finish off, and just how they all fill in their positions from there. But RDB Mickey, I can see her bullying her way to the front.
Okay. Ryan, as I said, with so many other fillies to come back into the fold as far as the Queensland Oaks, there's a bit of pressure on some of these fillies to perform well, because I think spots for the Queensland Oaks will be at a premium.
Yeah, to make sure you guarantee your spot, you want to perform well. I think in the early fixed odds market, RDB Mickey, it's certainly very unappealing, but I think she is the horse to beat. It'll be interesting to see the tactics on Everard. Do they put her into the race nice and early, get up there outside the leading bunch, or do they sit back and come with one run? So really good race. Interesting to see what pans out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with RDB Mickey, just off that run at Redcliffe. The trial before was just sparkling, so I'm just fascinated to see how she is on the big track. If there's a knock there, only 2 wins from 12 starts, you'd like to see a bit better conversion rate, but I'm looking forward to seeing her at Albion Park. So 7, 10, 11 and 1, they're my numbers for the Southeast Oaks. Darren, you're tipping Everard?
Yeah, I think what I've seen of her, I think she's really progressive. She's never missed the top two. The way she held them out at Redcliffe, she really fought in for the over those closing stages. So I'm going 10, 7, 2 and 12. I thought Soap Opera was much more encouraging last start, and if it's a hard run race, she can certainly finish over the top.
Right, just with Riley Rainbow, the odds on offer currently, they're quite appealing given her splits out of the Redcliffe Oaks.
Juicy, Chris. She is the betting proposition as odds currently stand here on Friday. If there's a big drift on RDB Mickey out to sort of close to black odds, she'll become a play for me. But yeah, 1x4, Riley Rainbow, love it.
Yep. Well, that's the Southeast Oaks. That comes up as race number 4 on the card. The first of our Group 1 features on Saturday night is the Harris Detroiteurs Great Square. And as we said at the start of the show, unfortunately, Bet and Win is out. Can the defending champ create a little bit of history? First stage last year, London to a Brick as a 3-year-old took down the older rivals in a time of 156.3. He returns in good form, but he's got to overcome gate number 7. This is going to be an intriguing race, although it has been robbed of interest with that scratching of Bet and Win. Ryan, as we look back at the replay of last week's feature, the Stella Square, we will see Bet and Win overpower Rockin' with Attitude. So now that he's out, Bet and Win, all the action and all eyes certainly look like being on these front row runners. London to a Brick drawn out in 7, Rockin' with Attitude in 6, and She's Ruby Roo up from Victoria. They're going to command plenty of pre-race talk.
Yeah, certainly now with the scratching of the Boom Kiwi. It's such a shame for the race. He looked like a very, very good talent. But I think now all roads are going to be leading to London to a Brick with what he's done at his last 2 starts at Menangle. It's been quite impressive, dropped solid halves. He looks like the big player now.
Yeah, he's bounced back to form, Darren. Probably a little shaky when he first kicked off his campaign, but he's gone 3 straight now, and he returns to Brisbane, 1 start, 1 victory. So he is the defending champ. He's probably the horse that everyone's got to beat now.
Yeah, certainly, and especially he's got that front line draw. We saw him sit outside She's Ruby Roo last week at Menangle, put her away in the closing stages. He's pretty comfortable there. It was a 56 last half, so a really solid performance. He really just coming into this at the right time, I think. Those 3 wins, like you said, he was a bit sketchy early in his campaign, but they've got him sorted now, and could be 2 editions of the Great Square, 2 wins, London to a Brick.
Just going back to Monday night at the barrier draw, did they have the option of this wide front row draw and a second row draw, and they opted for the wide front row draw?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of conference going on between Ricky Alchin, who had the card, and James Rattray, and they opted for the front line. So maybe take a line through that of how they want to attack this race.
Okay, it's a fast front line. How did you map it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I think some of those, she's got Karakajack Tooth and Lucky Mum, the 2 fillies in the race. Lucky Mum gets out good enough, so if she can get across Karakajack Tooth first, I don't think they want to hold up for too much longer. That would give the opportunity for She's Ruby Roo to work across. I don't think she's electric out, but I think she does enough to push on, and Rockin' with Attitude then just keeps on pushing till she finds the front. She was held last week. Head 'em Up held Rockin' with Attitude out until Head 'em Up went off stride at the 1200, and really, I guess, opened the race right up, because it got pretty untidy from that point onwards. And as we saw in that replay, then there was, really only sort of 3 or 4 main chances with 400 to go, and as it turned out, there was really only 1 winning hope, and that was Bet and Win. Rockin' with Attitude, she gets her chance to turn it around, but London to a Brick, he can sit parked, I think, and win this.
Okay, Ryan, last year as a 3-year-old, he came off cover to win. He might have to do it the hard way here tomorrow night, but he looks the horse to beat.
Yeah, he sure does. He's back in form, front row draw, he can float out and then work forward. I think he's probably the only horse that can win from any position in run, I think you'd say. The Locomotive has trialled really well, according to my spies, down south against the Pacers recently with the stable switch to Brad Hewitt, so he's a clear hope. Rockin' with Attitude was excellent last week. I think she's the one that could really bounce off fitness-wise, and clearly a top 3 hope. And perhaps the best local is going to be hide and seek with his Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde form lines. So don't rule him out.
Okay, I'm going with London to a Brick. Hopefully he might be able to create a little bit of history and go back-to-back with the first 2 editions of the Great Square. Rocking with attitude, I think she can run another ripper. She's Ruby Roo. She comes up with very good credentials, brave behind London to a Brick. She does boast a victory over Rockin' with Attitude. And I thought the best local was the 3-year-old Head 'Em Up. If he brings his A game and has the head screwed on right, he's got wicked change-up speed, so I'm going to give him some sort of a sneaky place hope. So 7, 6, 4, 3 for me. Darren, which way did you go?
Yeah, I've got the same first 3 across the line, Chris. 7, 6, 4. I'll throw in number 12, Hide and Seek. He was actually on his game last week until he got knocked out of the race. For once in his career, probably it wasn't his fault last week, and he just got cannoned into when Head 'Em Up went off stride, and then Prince of Rock locked wheels with him. So, like Ryan said, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he goes miss, win, miss, win. If it was the miss last week, could it be a win this week? And I think Coda to Motor might be a sneaky place chance as well. We saw her run into 3rd in that Stella Square.
Okay. 7, 6, 4 and 12 for you there in the Great Square. That is the first leg of the quaddie. It's our first Group 1 feature tomorrow night. Really looking forward to the Great Square. Unfortunately, Bet and Winner's out, but there is going to be a winner crowned, and we'll find out who it's going to be very shortly. Race number 6 at Albion Park is the Mr. Feelgood Open. This is the last of the lead-up races for our big events coming up in the next fortnight, the Sunshine Sprint, followed by the Grand Circuit feature, the Blacks Are Fake. So it's all important. This race last year won by Swayze, and as we now know, he came out and won the Blacks Are Fake, downing the local star Leap to Fame. Interestingly though, last year, Swayze went off at $4.40 in this race. The favourite for the Mr. Feelgood last year was the West Aussie in Magnificent Storm. There's no West Aussie horses here, Ryan, but this is a mouth-watering clash. As you outlined at the start, this is your race of the night, the clash between the brothers, Swayze, Leap to Fame. Let's look at the replay firstly of Leap to Fame last week. He was dominant. It was a perfectly executed drive by Grant Dixon. This week, Swayze has barrier 1. 3 times he's drawn barrier 1 at Albion Park. He's never looked like leading, so it's unlikely that he can make full advantage of this good draw. So how does this race shake out in your opinion?
It's very intriguing.
Yeah.
For me, Hot and Treacherous is the map key horse. Barrier 2, stablemate of Swayze. He dictates the map. If Swayze does get the opportunity to pop off at any stage and look for a retake inside that first 600 metres, I think that will happen. But bouncing off a little bit of a setback at the start before, getting beaten and pulling up a little bit unwell, perhaps they just give him the opportunity to find his feet here and maybe sit leaders back and come into the race that way.
Okay. Leap to Fame is the favourite at this point for this event, Darren. Just looking at his Albion Park 2138 metre record, 11 starts, 9 wins. He was 2nd in the Southeast Derby behind Can't Find a Better Man, who lines up in this race, and 3rd as a 3-year-old in the Rising Sun behind Ladies in Red. It's a fantastic record. If he's outside the leader and Swayze's wherever, except being in front, surely he's the horse they've got to beat.
Yeah, 100%. And I thought the price with him was an absolute gift at this point in time. So, like you say, I think all being equal, off exposed speed, I think Don Liu can find the front, and got Seaton Grimer, aggressive driver, back on board. Hot and Treacherous, I think he gets across Swayze, but I don't think he can hold out Don Liu. So it'll certainly be very interesting, that first sort of run to the first turn, especially on the 2100 metre start point. So if that shakes down early in that way, well then Grant will be around to get Leap to Fame straight into the battle. We saw what he did to District Attorney last time, sitting outside of him. They really quickened that third quarter, sub 27 third quarter, and Leap to Fame pulled clear. So under that scenario, I think they sort of shake down like that. Probably Jim RT, maybe a Simply Sam, one of those has to lead a 3-wide train and Can't Find a Better Man, probably snags back and looks for that cart home.
Okay. Ryan, just with Leap to Fame, did we as the punters overreact to one defeat at Redcliffe? He went 13 straight, including Harness Racing's Triple Crown. He got beaten. He led sets off fractions at Redcliffe in the Patron's Purse, but they went up at even money last week for that feature. Did we react just way off just because of that one defeat?
Oh, absolutely. I think the price assessors certainly made a bit of a blue. We saw his starting price. He started closer to $1.50. And even in the futures markets, you know, a few of the corps certainly wound him out based on that defeat at Redcliffe, and it was one of the better and bigger overreactions we've seen. I think here in this race, we all know Leap's going to get up outside them relatively, you know, probably with at least 1,200 to go. So the intriguing part is, what does the majority of runners off the front line do? Like if I was Luke or even Pete, you know cover's coming. So it's really quite tempting, I think, to make an early play and keep rolling forward at the start, knowing that Grant will be off and around and giving it to the leader. Yeah,
well, I'm going to tip Leap to Fame. I'm sticking with him after what he delivered last week and what he's done over the past 6 to 8 months. He's been the number one pacer for an obvious reason. I think the Grimson horses are the main threats here. Swayze, Hector's going really well. He's been here previously. Hot and Treacherous is going to be in the mix from the good draw. So 11, 1, 13 and 2 for me. Darren, you're with Leap to Fame?
Yeah, I think the way it all sets up for him, he can just get forward and strong arm. I think we talk about those price reactions. He started $2.30 in an Inter-Dominion final. He started $2.70 in a Miracle Mile, $1.40 in a Hunter Cup. And here we are, we saw him open at $1.85 in this race. And you go through his last 4 starts, $1.60, $1.04, $1.01, $1.40. Like, that's just, from a pricing perspective, it's get on board. I've got him over 7, can't find a better man. I thought he was good in the closing stages last week behind Leap to Fame. Had everyone else covered and took a little bit of ground off him. Number 4, Don Liu, if he gets to the fence, and 12, Jim RT. Flying, this guy. It's a big step up here, but he might just be able to sneak into some of the minor money.
Okay, what are you looking at as far as the options are concerned for the multiples here, Ryan?
Yeah, clearly on top, Leap to Fame, the Queensland pin-up horse, without a doubt. In researching this race and doing the form, it was interesting to bump into his Rising Sun performance last year. 52 flat. It was breathtaking. Swayze has to be respected. I think he is the challenger, but no map favours here. If he can't work clear of a pocket early, perhaps that's a bit sticky for him. And Firefox is flying. No joy last week. He was climbing all over them late.
Well, that's the Mr. Feelgood that comes through as race number 6 on the program. The big lead up to the Golden Girl is the Fleur de Lille, and this is race number 7 tomorrow night. This is going to be a great race, there's no question about it. Looking forward to it. Last year it was the local mare, Uptown Beach Girl, Nathan Dawson for Donnie and Maureen Smith, leading all the way, fighting off Braveview Kelly in a mile rate of 152.3, and she ran the favourite Uptown Beach Girl. Who comes out on top? Well, the market's certainly suggesting that RD's Express is the horse to beat. She won the big Queen Elizabeth, the big Ladyship Mile feature in Sydney earlier this year, and she comes up with an inside draw. She's the key runner, but when you look at this front line, it's overloaded with pace here, so it could be quite interesting early, and we've got to find out if Jewel Melody is going to get a start or not, because if she does get a start, it really changes the map around.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. For me, the way I've analysed this race, Jewel Melody being scratched is key, and the Kiwi mare RD's Express drawing barrier 1, and I have grave fears that she can't hold up, a bit like Swayze and Leap to Fame that we've seen in recent time.
Yeah, well, let's look back at Tay-Tay's performance. She's been awesome so far here during this Brisbane campaign. She was a first-up winner, stunning time, and then last week the way she savaged the line was very impressive. So she's drawn directly behind RD's Express here. That's with Jewel Melody in the field. So she's likely to follow out Manhattan if the emergency comes out. So the emergency drawing barrier 1 is a big question mark here. But Tay-Tay, that's her, the deepest runner off the track, really charging to the line. Pendai is just in front, grips on, scores narrowly. How did you sort of map this race, Darren? Because there's a heap of speed. RD's Express, first Albion Park start. The local mare girl from Rosedale, My Moonlight Dream showing explosive gate speed. It's going to be keen and willing here.
Yeah, certainly is. And I think RD's Express will really need to be at her top to hold them all out. So I think she can hold them out. The mile start, she'll need to be revved up, that's for sure, and whether that then has a negative impact later in the race. So it's certainly interesting. Girl from Rosedale, she runs the arm, always aggressive with her as well. So if she doesn't get across, she's probably in for a tough trip, and I think that will play out. I think there's too much on offer for RD's Express to lead. If she does get crossed, she's in grave danger of being buried. 4 starts in Australia, 3 of them at the mile, 1 or 3, 2 of them sub 50. So, you know, her defeat last time was at the 2300, I think, back to the mile. She gets to the front. So Manhattan probably gets the best run of things early. You would think she can just stay out of that speed battle a little bit, just tuck in behind. Tay likely to get through. And we're working this map out, of course, off no dual melody. So if she does get in the field, it could throw everything out.
Yeah. She's the key runner, RD's Express, no doubt about it. That sole defeat last time out on Australian soil was against the boys, so she's back against her own sex here. The barrier draw does make it interesting, and we're working on the proviso that dual melody comes out. But just with that gate speed, it's going to take a little bit of driving here from Cam Hart.
Yeah, I think so. And I've had a really good look back through all of her past performances, and there's nothing in her profile to suggest to me that she's got the natural early toe to be able to kick up and hold these speedsters like Manhattan, Girl from Rosedale, and My Moonlight Dream. So for me, as long as if she's coming out of barrier 1, she's getting crossed. Tay for mine, absolutely flying now back in the Grimson team. I feel last week she was a bit of a moral beaten. I reckon she can get the job done.
Okay, I'm going to go 2-3-9-8, but my suggestion here, if you're betting, back Manhattan each way. I don't think you'll go too far wrong. She's going to be in a good spot, and her runs so far here in Brisbane for Jack and Tara Butler have been excellent. I think she's ready to go, so if you want to back her each way, I think that's probably the safe option. Are you going with RD's Express?
Yeah, I've got her on top, but same sort of scenario here. The price, I think, is way too low as it is at the moment, just with too many factors to throw into the melting pot. But I think class, she's certainly there. So I'll put her on top. Tay obviously gets the right trip. She's a massive danger. We saw her on that replay. Only peeled out once they straightened, and she was 1 out 4 back at that stage and got beat ahead. Like, that's just huge. Oliver Bubbles will get a nice trip behind, and Manhattan, as you suggested, Chris, absolutely flying this mare, and would not surprise if she won this race.
Okay, so you're happy to bet around RD's Express, Tay. My Moonlight Dreams value there for you, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this Seaton Grima trained runner is a big hope. I wouldn't be shocked if he can bully on to the top at some point, and if he does, I think she's got a 151 mile in her. She might take some catching.
Okay, that promises to be a very intriguing race. That race is for the mares, the Fleur de Lille. That's the all-important lead-up to next week's Group 1 Golden Girl. The Group 1 Rising Sun is race number 8 on the program, and what a fascinating contest this is going to be. Last year, the race was absolutely dominated by the local champ, Leap to Fame, 152, easily defeating Rock and Roll Hammer. He was a 3-year-old back then. Rock and Roll Hammer lines up again on Saturday night as a 4-year-old. The horse to beat, though, is Frankie Ferocious. He is the favourite. We'll look back at the replay of a rotor taking out the Queensland Sun here, Ryan, last week. This is a guy that's in super form, led all the way, race record time in the Redcliffe Cup. Came off cover to win here last week. He's fit, he's in form, and he's versatile. He needs to show versatility on Saturday night because he's got a tricky draw off the second row. But there was certainly plenty of merit about this win, but there was certainly some unlucky runners behind him.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. He's going to have to show his versatility, that's for sure. For the back row over the 2100, I find it hard to see exactly how he works into the race. I think they'd have to go cracking speed for a few of these back row runners to be in the mix, actually. Yeah. Hardest race of the night, without a doubt.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, what is your general overview here? So Frankie Ferocious, first up, he flopped last week, he got very keen, he was hitting the sulky wheels, and things just went from bad to worse. He backs up a week later, he's unproven at this trip, but he's still the favourite. He is the Chariots of Fire winner. He's a hard horse to get a handle on for this race.
Yeah, is he what? When I come back to assess this race, I really felt like he was the only horse that I could say with confidence would be in Grand Circuit races going forward. So if you assess this race, say 10 days ago, I think you'd definitely come out with him as your number 1 pick. Can you forgive him for last week? Perhaps. Do you want to take even money? No. Yeah, very tough race. It's a bit of a shame the Luke McCarthy trained mare I Keep Smiling hasn't got a start. I think for the overall depth and character of the race, she would have been a wonderful addition, but not to be. Yeah, so...
What about the 3-year-olds? We're yet to see a 3-year-old win this race. That the closest they've been was Leap to Fame 2 years ago when he was third behind Ladies in Red. So can a 3-year-old step up? Luxa Turner, Soho Spectre, both from the same stable. Ricky Elchin puts the polish on both. Could it be the year of a 3-year-old?
I think they actually have like a little bit of a better record than what on face value. I think Rock and Roll Hammer, did he run second last year?
Yeah, he did too,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, I think the evenness of the field drags them right into this event.
Yeah. So how did you map this race, Darren? Frankie Ferocious, do you have him out in front? Do you think he can clear those to his inside? Do you think they're mindful of what happened last week, so they've got to treat him with kid gloves? It's not easy.
No, it's not, and I think you come back to what Ryan said. Do you forgive one run? And if you're prepared to forgive one run, well then it's business as usual. And that said, his 2100 metre record is very questionable. He hasn't won beyond 17:20 at Melton. That said, he probably hasn't been around too many times over the longer trip as it is. So I can just, little bit of that kid glove situation, I could see them just pinging the arm, which he can do, and we saw that last week, gets across to the fence and then maybe hand up to a horse like For Real Life and just get the track into the race and be saved for that real closing sprint, that change-up speed we know he has. If that were to play out, I thought Rock and Roll Hammer probably has to get forward at some point, work hard. I thought Captain's Knock, if he's then on the back of depending on whether the emergency's in or out, he's on the back of either Frankie Ferocious or For Real Life, and if they're both going forward, does Brad Hewitt chance his arm a little bit here and try to cart through on the back of them? If that happens and those inside runners are sort of pulled back a little bit, he can find a running line position really cheaply, and I think he can do that, and then they just sort of fill their positions thereafter. Don Hugo, Whisperer's Secret probably having to lead the 3 wide line, one of those two, and Artie's Flash of Road are trying to get the run on them.
Okay, Ryan, I wouldn't be shocked if you've got a totally different look at this race where they're going to map. Like, what do you think they do with Frankie Ferocious?
If it was mine, I'd probably do exactly as what Darren suggested there. Ping him out, cross, and then hand to try and give him the ability to run out the trip strongly. But then they risk him firing up, don't they? And if he pulls, well, then he's zero chance of running the trip out. So, don't know. What are they going to do?
For everything that Jason Grimson has achieved in the last sort of 2 years, this is probably his biggest test. How does he get Frankie to rebound after what he delivered last week? In the space of a week and unproven at the trip, this is a really good challenge for the trainer.
Yeah, no doubt. And we know this horse's talents. He's got such high speed, and he really is a top echelon talent if you can unlock the best of him.
Okay, well, I'm going to tip 6. Rock and Roll Hammer. I think he represents good value in this race. He was around $20 when markets first went up. He was a runner-up in this race last year behind Leap to Fame. The draw's concerning, no question, but I just thought he was good value. Captain's Knock, I can certainly back him. He's raced Frankie Ferocious, like Rock and Roll Hammer during the Chariots of Fire. Rock and Roll Hammer was really unlucky in the Chariots of Fire. When you look back at that replay, he was climbing all over them. Captain's Knock is a good quality horse, no problem with the trip. If he gets the right sort of luck, he can easily score here. Frankie Ferocious, I just couldn't entertain him at the price and what we saw last week. And Whisperer's Secret, he comes into this race fresh, a month between runs, so I'll be interested to see what he does, but those 2 sub-51 miles were awesome. So 6:12, 5:10, which way are you going, Ryan?
I've put Frankie Ferocious on top with zero confidence. Sorting out the numbers for this race, it was impossible. Yeah. Blazing Home, I think, should get that gun mark alone trip. If they go really hard and he gets a split, he can certainly be in the finish. Luxa Turner, I haven't always been in her camp over her career so far, but the New South Wales Oaks performance was very good in 53 last half. She wasn't beaten that far behind Very Pretty, and if Very Pretty was in this race, I'd be very keen. Her breeze effort in the Redcliffe Oaks was actually better than I first thought, so she can, with a soft trip and a peg line run, I think, figure. And yeah, I'm a bit like you, Chris. I think Rock and Roll Hammer, he's peaking nicely.
Okay. Darren, you're with Captain's Knock?
Yeah, put the 12 on top. I just think if they get excited in the early stages. That tempo is going to be, really quick, and it's going to suit those run-on horses. Captain's Knock has probably had a little bit of an advantage over some of the rivals that he takes on here, in that he's had that invite locked away, and Brad Hewitt's been able to map his course into this race, and he was a first-up winner, and then his second 2 runs back from a spell I thought were more than okay, including a run behind Typo. So Artie's Flash, I thought the run last week was actually better than what it really played out. He was just forced to take off sooner than they would have liked. He's best saved, I think, for a 200 to 400 metre sprint. He left at the 800 last week. Quickest sectionals of the race. For real life, he gets his chance to put his name up in lights here, Trent Dawson. He's got the gait to do it, and Frankie can certainly come out and win this race, but it's a big what if around him in so many facets.
Okay, that's the Rising Sun. It's race number 8. It's an intriguing contest. The last of our features on Saturday night is the APG final. This is for graduates sold through the Brisbane sale 12 months earlier. Last year this race was won by Balboa Rock. We've got Hunger Strike and Pat's Boys. They were the 2 heat winners here last week. Hunger Strike rating far quicker time in comparison to Pat's Boys, but there was so much to like about Pat's Boys. On debut, had to do it tough, and he came out on top. So Ryan, when you look at this race, Hunger Strike opened very short over Pat's Boys. We'll look at the replays of both of these heat winners last week. Firstly, this is Pat's Boys. That's him outside the leader. So he's forced to do a little bit of work, and he comes out on top. Hunger Strike, they went super fast in that opening split there last week, 27-2. She was able to go on and score in 54-9. Pat's Boys winning here in 58-4. Do you think that gap in price should be as big as what it is between these 2 heat winners?
I think it should be, Chris, purely and simply because of gate speed and barrier draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all advantages here with Hunger Strike from the pole. It's going to dictate and take no end to beating.
All right, well that was Pat's Boys scoring there last week. Wasn't a big winning margin, but there was plenty of upside. This is Hunger Strike winning last week, so she puts the leader away quickly there, and then she just clears out in the end. Jewel Cam briefly loomed there, but once Ricky Elgin goes to work, this filly knuckled down to the task very well. Ended up scoring by a widening margin. So there was a lot to like. She's got plenty of experience on her side in comparison to Pat's Boys, who's facing the starter for just the second time tomorrow night. So Darren, Hunger Strike draws barrier 1. I think the fillies were always going to draw better than the boys here, given the setup for this race. So she looks like she's the horse to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. The way she just pulled clear of Jewel Cam there, put probably 2 or 3 lengths on him just in the, twinkling of an eye, and I thought from this gate she probably just leads and wins, and I think it's a case of times and margins. Pat's Boys, he'll certainly improve off that run, first effort, and it was really strong, so if there's sort of more to come from him, he'll certainly test her. He probably does have to work again in the run, I thought. Designer Jewel tuck in behind. He's a Maywin. Thought his run was more than okay in the heats, and he can certainly get the right trail to loom up. Jewel Cam, what do they do with there? They probably just go back, unfortunately, from a wide gate, but all pointing towards a Hunger Strike.
Okay. With Hunger Strike drawing barrier 1, is there any sort of possibility that either Designer Jewel or Pat's Boys really chance their arm and take it on early?
They may do, but I think Hunger Strike's got the toe to dictate.
All right, so you're tipping Hunger Strike?
Yeah, clearly on top, Chris. That heat was impressive, and I just, without a doubt, Pat's Boys is going to bounce off that first up run and improve second up, and then the clear 1-2 pick. But yeah, Hunger Strike. You can't be suggesting that Pat's Boys from the barrier is going to be able to turn the tables.
Okay, well, we're all coming up with the same numbers, pretty much the same order as well. I'm going the same way as Ryan, 1697. You're just a little bit different there, Darren?
Yeah, just switching the 7 and the 9 for 3rd and 4th, but either way you look at it, probably play the exotics with those 4 numbers and you're pretty close to getting them.
Okay, so Hunger Strike is a clear on-top selection there right across the panel there for that APG feature. For the 2-year-old, she's a filly by Stay Hungry. That is race number 9. Time now to hear from our drivers. Leading driver Nathan Dawson with a really strong book. Brendan Barnes with 2 drives, including Pat's Boys. Let's hear what both guys have got to say. Nathan Dawson jumps in the hot seat to go through his drives on Saturday night, and he's with us now. Nathan, as always, we appreciate the time.
No, good to be on, Chris.
It's a great night of racing coming through on Saturday night. You've got some good drives. In this first race, the Derby Constellation, the Southeast Derby Constellation, Dragon, you've been with this guy at his past couple. He looked really unlucky there last week. Did you just run out of room there late?
Yeah, it just got a little bit tight late, but he's getting to the line really good. So, I think he's back to his best now, and, I think he can show what he can do.
All right, last week that was a mile. It's back at 2,138 metres. Is he a little sharper over the sprint trip, or it doesn't really matter?
No, it doesn't really matter to him. He's a pretty laid-back character, so, it's a nice trailing draw for him, so, he'll be finishing off.
It looks really open on paper, this race. There's no standout.
No, that's right. It's an open race, and, he's probably coming right at the right time, so, I can give him a good trip, he'll be thereabouts.
Yeah, he looks to be good value in this race. It's just about getting that right horse to follow, and if he's, a chance there at the turn, he can easily sort of finish off and beat these.
Yeah, that's right. His last couple have been good, and he's found the line really well. So, as you said, if I can get the right horse to follow, they'll definitely know he's there.
Okay. The Southeast Derby is race number 3 on Saturday night. You've picked up the drive here on Safer. He looks like he's got a terrific chance here. He lands a good draw. He's had a stable change going from Adam Regari to Jason Grimson. What are the confidence levels like with this guy?
Yeah, he proved here at Redcliffe, that he's got a bit of ability there. So, we've got the good draw, and as you said, the stable change, so hopefully he can make the most of it.
Again, it looks really open. There's a stack of chances in this race. But that win, first up at Redcliffe, or 2 starts ago, was really impressive. He was forced to do a lot of work. He dug deep. Here in the Derby, you're out in front with Ellis Street. He's back on the inside. Is there much we can take away? That's him getting to the outside now. Is there much we can take away from this race?
No, I think just, the way the race was run, it was always going to be hard for horses back in the field to get into it. So, I wouldn't be worried too much about his last start. As I said, he's come up with a good draw here, and, I'm sure he'll run a good race.
Has he got early speed, do you know?
Yeah, he has. He's shown, back down in New South Wales that he's got good gate speed. So, I dare say he'll be having a good look tonight, on Saturday night.
Well, if you're in front, do you hold, and is he good enough to go all the way?
Yeah, as I said, we'll just have to see what race pressure there is, and just play it as it goes. But, I don't think he's lacking in ability.
Okay. Who's the horse that you're most worried about for this Derby race?
It's a pretty open race. I think Minos, he raced really well the other week. So I think the front line draw for him is probably, a benefit for him.
Okay. If Safer comes out and wins this race on Saturday night, does that put you in potentially an awkward spot that you've got to pick then between Safer and Ellis Street for the main Derby, the Queensland Derby in 2 weeks?
I'm not really sure what Ellis Street's plans are, to be honest. I think he's aiming for the Haydens, his main priority at the moment, and then, I think he's going to go after that. But we got to get there first, and it would be good to have a pick there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but hopefully there's a few options there for you. Let's go across to race 5, the Great Square. This is the big trotting feature. Coda Demota, she was excellent last week, chasing home the Kiwi star Bet and Win. Why can't she go another big race here?
Yeah, I reckon she will. She's done what everyone wanted, and get into the final. So anything now is a bonus. So we have nothing to lose.
She seems like she goes better when they go faster in these races. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, it is. She's got a good following speed, and doesn't matter what time they run. She'll always finish off.
Last week you were drawn the inside of the second row, front row draw on Saturday night. You're in 5. Potentially a little sticky?
A little bit. I prefer the front line with her than the back line. She likes to get in rhythm, and you're more in control of that off the front. So I'm more happy about this draw than I was last week.
Okay. Do you think that front line's a really fast front line?
Yeah, there is speed there. I tested her in a trial once to see how she got out, and she's got good speed herself. So we'll roll the dice early and just see what happens.
Is Bet and Win the horse to beat on what he showed last week?
Yeah, for sure. He showed what he could do last week, and you can't take anything away from Miles's horse either. She ran a really good race.
Okay, that's going to be a good race, but Coda de Motor is your drive there and a terrific chance. What about the Mr. Feelgood? You're going to partner Kanina Provlima again. The big obvious question here, can he cross the two drawn to his inside, Swayze and Hot and Treacherous?
He's got good gate speed. I reckon we'll be having a good look and you just seeing what happens. So, I'm not 100% sure if I can get over the 2-horse, but I'm pretty confident I can get over Swayze.
Okay, Hot and Treacherous really well, so that's an interesting one there if you can clear him. How quick off the gate is Kanina Provlima? Yeah,
he's pretty quick. He's proven multiple times that he leads well. So we'll be having a good look, and hopefully we can get over.
Did he get a pass mark for his performance last week?
Yeah, he was all right. I think Robbie's going to up his work a bit this week, and I expect a better performance.
Do you expect a really solid run race here?
Yeah, I got no doubt there will be. Everyone's going to be trying to find a position and then look for certain horses. So, I got no doubt that it's going to be run solid.
Okay, let's go across to your other drive here in race 9. This is the APG Brisbane Sales Graduates Final. Tengaray, can she trouble the scorers here from this draw?
Oh, it's not a bad draw for her. She's probably going to need a bit of luck, and if we can just run on at the finish, we'll be happy.
Would you rather be driving Hunger Strike or Pat's Boys?
I'd rather be driving either, to be honest. They're nice horses, but Hunger Strike's got the better draw, so it's probably going to have a bit more of an advantage.
Okay, and the last race, Teddy Disco. So this race has been cut about by scratchings. Dual Melody comes out. Sporty Dancer, who's to your outside, also comes out. Is this the night for Teddy Disco?
Yeah, it's a drop back in grade from what he's been racing, and honestly, he's going better than what his form looks. So it's the right type of race for him. There's some speed toe inside, but we're back to the mile, so I think he should run a good race.
I was going to ask, what do you do early here? You look at that front line, and it's loaded with speed. So do you have a look early, or let them fight it out early, and then you go as soon as you can?
Yeah, we'll float across. As I said, I don't think I got the speed to get over, so we'll just float to a spot and then weigh up our options after that.
Okay, but certainly capable of better compared to what he's been racing against in recent times.
Yeah, for sure. As I said, he's been racing the open horses, and he's dropping back to this bend. So fingers crossed he can run a good race.
Which one are you most looking forward to?
I'd probably say Dragon. I think he's racing well, and as I said, if I can give him a good trip, he should be thereabouts. Okay,
race 1, number 11, nice and early there. As always, appreciate the time. Best of luck, and we'll see you trackside.
Thanks, Chris.
Brendan Barnes is now joining us. He's got 2 important drives coming through on Saturday night, both of which in feature races, big money races as well. And he's with us now. Brendan, appreciate the time.
No worries, Chris. Thank you.
Let's start with the Great Square. Lucky Mum. This is a very well-bred 3-year-old trotting filly from New Zealand. She's 1 for 1 in Australia, taking that feature at Redcliffe. What sort of impression did she leave with you that night at Redcliffe?
Yeah, obviously we drove her well outside her racing pattern. That's not her go, but yeah, she was by far and away the best horse in the race. But she raced super. She she was full of running down the back straight, and as soon as she put the leader to bed, she just wanted to switch off, and that she just did what she had to do. I think if she had to do more, she would have, but yeah, she was just happy to do what she had to do.
Okay, 1.2 mile rate, last quarter 32. So do we just disregard that last quarter, take nothing out of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think if we had it over again and we sort of, just held her up to the top of the straight rather than putting the leader away, it would have looked better. But she was good. You could just sort of feel her as soon as she crossed down the fence. She was happy to knock off. She thought job done, and yeah, she was never getting beat. She was just happy to sort of wait around a little bit.
Okay, was it always the plan to skip last week's feature, the Stella Square?
It probably wasn't. I think she was looking at going right the way through, but her absolute grand final will be the Oaks. So, four probably tough runs in a week. In a row is just probably going to be too much. And, she's only here till after the Oaks, and she's off to America.
Okay. She's a good quality filly. She's raced in the Oaks, the Derby features over in New Zealand. So she's come across here 1 for 1 with that feature at Redcliffe. So in many ways, it's a quantum rise in grade again here because you're up against older horses and you're taking on some potential stars in the likes of Bet and Win, London to a Brick. she was always going to draw well. This is only the second edition of the Great Square. Last year, London to a Brick won. He was a 3-year-old. So does that give you a little confidence knowing that the 3-year-old trotters can match it with the 4-year-old trotters?
Yeah, it does. Obviously, it's hard being a filly up against the boys. You know, the good boys are generally always better than the good girls, but you know, she's a handy little filly, and she's got gate speed like a pacer, so I've got no doubt she'll fire out and get herself to the fence and then follow one from there.
Okay, so that's the key. We'll get her off the gate quickly, put her on the fence, and then just put her to sleep, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, you got She's Ruby Roo off the front, a little bit more speed off the front, so you know, I don't think she'll have any problems in finding the rail. She, as we said, she's got really good gate speed. She trialled, she come out super quick. So yeah, that'll be the plan. Obviously, get to the fence and hopefully one of the better ones, you know, the first horse there.
It does look a fast front line, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. There's plenty of go forward horses there, but yeah, we'll be able to get to a good spot.
All right. So you're confident she can race really well here.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Is Bet and Win the horse to beat?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, he's got that back row draw to overcome. A couple of the main dangers are going to be, you know, ahead of him, and he's going to have to be working at some point, but he's a high-quality horse.
Okay. The other feature race that you're driving in on Saturday night is the APG Brisbane Sales Graduates Final. The 2 heat winners, Hunger Strike, the filly. She went really fast time, and your guy, Pat's Boys, who was on debut. Gee, there was a lot to like about him last week, Brendan. Do you like this guy?
Yeah, he's got a big future. I think he'll be a really good 3-year-old. He's had to come a long way quick to get up and ready for this series. He I think it was only probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. He educated in about 2-3, and then he educated, and then he qualified, and then he was first up, and that's all happened just really quick. It would have been awesome to have another fortnight with him before this, but you know, it is what it is, and yeah, I think he'll definitely be a better horse a bit further down the track.
Okay. This is the grand final for many of these 2-year-olds, given that they're graduates of that sales, and the numbers were a little small from that sale the previous year, so this has always been the target. Has he been a bit of a handful to get going and get sorted?
I think he has for a lot of other people, but not really. Like sort of the dealings that we've had with him, he's been pretty good. He hasn't really put too much of a foot wrong. Obviously, he's a real 2-year-old. He's quite green. He's a little bit hot. He runs around a little bit, so he lacks a fair bit of maturity. So he'll just get better and better all the time. Okay,
as I said, the 2 heat winners were Hunger Strike, Pat's Boys. You're clearly the top 2 in betting here, but the gap between Hunger Strike and Pat's Boys is probably a little generous. Do we read anything into those times? That fast time largely set up for Hunger Strike with that first quarter of 27.2. So do we buy into the time for the heats last week?
No, I don't think we can. Obviously, on paper, everyone's sort of probably going to look at it and think, yeah, he went, sort of 4 seconds quicker, Hunger Strike, she did. But, you know, there was a quick first quarter that Hunger Strike wasn't involved in. She sat quiet and same as we did. I think we ran a quicker last half, but obviously, she's got the barrier draw advantage. I think that Pat's Boys has an absolute stack of gate speed. Whether or not we want to, you know, rev him up, and if that might bring him undone or not, we'll just have to wait and see how he feels. But we'll go forward to some extent, and yeah, he'll be thereabouts.
All right. Well, with the gate speed, you've driven Hunger Strike. Is it a foregone conclusion that she's got the speed to lead?
Look, I don't think it's 100% guaranteed. Obviously, she gets out well, and she's shown really good manners as well, Hunger Strike, which always helps in these featured 2-year-old races. And I'd sort of have to decide, you know, when we go, whether I want to put a bit of pressure on my fella, or if we're just happy to do everything right and just float across. So we just have to see how he feels at the time. But I've got no doubt that if we decide to really want to light him up and have a look, then we may look like we might be able to cross for a little bit, but whether that's the right thing to do or not by the horse at this stage, we'll just have to wait and see.
Sounds like it's going to be a good contest, this one.
Yeah, definitely. We're just, you know, super proud of Pat's Boys, how far he's come in a short time. And, yeah, if he runs top 3, we'll be wrapped with him.
All right. Well, 2 good drives. Hopefully you're in the money there with Lucky Mum in the Great Square, Pat's Boys in the APG. Appreciate the time, and we'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thank you, Chris.
Time now for our best bets for this big card of racing coming through, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the boys come up with and how they work the quaddie now that we've got that star Kiwi trotter out of the Great Square. So, Darren, what have you made as your best bet tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm keen on Major Hot in the Derby. I think it just profiles for him to get the right trip. I've been really taken with his 2 runs since arriving from New Zealand. Changes to the David and Stacey White team hopefully this put a little bit of a bittersweet smile on their face if they can pick this one up. So race 3, number 9, Major Hot as my best. Also really keen Leap to Fame.
Okay, how do you play the quaddie?
Yeah, I think that first leg now, it's between those 3 of She's Ruby Roo, Rockin' With Attitude, London to a Brick. I think they've got a little bit of a gap on their rivals now, and should be one of those. Number 11, Leap to Fame. RD's Express and Tay in that third leg, numbers 2 and 9. And in the final leg, I think we could play that really wide, being the Rising Sun. So 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, $36 for 100%. Play that to your budget.
All right, Ryan, your best bets in quaddie?
Yeah, I'm going race 1, number 12, Air Express in the Derby Constellation. I thought he could have given the actual Derby a shake if he had got a start. And really keen the champ, Leap to Fame, race 6, number 11. The $1.85 floating around is good shopping. For the quaddie in the first leg, I'm going to take She's Ruby Roo, Rockin' With Attitude, London to a Brick, and Hide and Seek, Standout Leap to Fame. And then in the mares race, taking on the short price favourite, hoping she does have to start from barrier 1 in RD's Express. So we'll pop in Manhattan, My Moonlight Dream and Tay, and then going super wide in the Rising Sun.
Okay, I'm going the best bet, I Keep Smiling. I think if she starts in the Rising Sun, she would have been a real threat. So I think in the Constellation, she can give the race a real shake. Race 2, number 5, I Keep Smiling. My quaddie, 6 and 7, Rockin' With Attitude, London to a Brick, Leap to Fame, RD's Express. I'd certainly entertain Manhattan. And then playing wide in that Rising Sun, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, $12 for 100%. You can throw in Manhattan there if you wanted to spend a little bit more. So they're our best bets. They're our quaddies for tomorrow night. Gents, that wraps up Weekend Winners for this massive night of racing coming through. Looking forward to seeing you trackside tomorrow night.
Perfect, can't wait.
Darren, see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely.
That wraps up Weekend Winners for this weekend.